Hey everyone, thank you very much for tuning in for another review. Today I'm going to look at a multi-tool. This is the Leatherman Juice S2. It's an aluminum handled multi-tool and it's one of my latest purchases. This is one of the latest multi-tools that I've bought and carried, and I've been really happy with it. It's not perfect. It's not my absolute favorite configuration of tools. I would have probably chose a slightly different assortment, but it's good. It's really comfortable, and I think that it's going to be a good fit for a lot of people. Now, this is part of a larger series. I'll close this up, and then we'll go over some of these one by one, but I kind of wanted to start the video off with all of the different tools fanned out. Now, it's part of a larger series. There's quite a few Juice tools, and they share a lot of things in common. The overall basic shape of the tools is going to be similar. I'll close that there. I'm trying to do this through the viewfinder, as you've seen on some of my other videos. Sometimes I struggle a little bit. So a lot of the other Juice models in the series have the same size handles, as far as the length, and the same plier head. But the variety of tools will vary from one to the next. So some will have different drivers, some won't have scissors. A lot of them have corkscrews. If you've seen some of the other Leatherman Juice series, and you know that they have corkscrews included on them. And I absolutely have no use for a corkscrew. It's one of my least liked tools on a multi-tool or on a Swiss Army knife. So I absolutely went with the only currently available model that does not include one, which is the Juice S2. This is also one of the thinnest, if not the thinnest, of the Juice series as far as the overall thickness goes. So for me, this was the obvious choice. I want something light, thin, unobtrusive that isn't going to take up a lot of space. So let's get into the specs real quick on this, and then I'll try and quickly share some of my pros and cons like usual. This is the S2 model. It includes 12 tools according to Leatherman. They are pliers, and you've got your standard pliers, the little toothy part in the middle there. You've got needle nose pliers at the tip. You've got wire cutters, and then at the base you see that little rounding. That would be your hard wire cutters. So if you're cutting something thick, that's where you would place the wire. All these tools, like all Leatherman pliers, work very, very well, quite functional, and quite strong. One of the things that you will notice, that you probably saw a moment ago, is that they're very thin. They're really narrow. And for some people, that might be, that might be a bit of an issue. In fact, you know what? Hang on one second, and let me grab my Leatherman squirt, and I want to show you that side by side. I've got that right here, and you can kind of see that while the Juice series of pliers are obviously bigger, they're not too much thicker. So I would recommend these for lighter duty, light to medium duty tasks. Great for removing, nuts and bolts, but keep your expectations realistic. If you're dealing with a lot of heavy duty stuff, or you're going to be using your pliers constantly, day in and day out, I would recommend something like the Wave, something with thicker plier heads, and something that's a little bit broader and maybe up to the task. Maybe stronger rivets. This is something, like I said, that'd be light to medium duty. So keep that in mind. But within that scope, I think the pliers are excellent, and they work exactly like you would expect them to. In addition to those, we have some tools that only open while the pliers are exposed. So you have to open it out before you can reach the drivers. But on the outside, while it's closed, we have a knife blade, and this is 2.6 inches in length. You can see it is actually ground on both sides. Looks to be a bit of a hollow grind. It is ground on both sides. Some Leatherman tools you'll only see, just the ground on one side of the blade. That's on both. It has a really nice factory edge. This is 420 HC steel, so it's actually fairly soft. It sharpens very quickly, but it also will dull a lot quicker than some of the more premium steels that a lot of you are used to. So if you're used to the overall edge retention of something like a Swiss Army knife or another Leatherman tool, this will be about the same, and it works quite well. And I think for a multi-tool, it's an excellent blade. It's got a good shape. The back spring is strong and holds the blade out well, so you're not going to have too many issues with it folding up on you, but you are going to want to exercise a little bit of caution when you use the blade or any of the tools, as none of them lock into place. So keep that in mind. But the back springs are pretty strong. On the opposite handle, you've got, if you hear clunking in the background, it's my cats going crazy like always. You've got a can opener and a bottle opener on this end. And it's a little on the thin side. The bottle opener is functional. I have not used it as a can opener, but it's a little thin, so I'm not sure how that would hold up over time. But just for bottle opening, it's fine. And then you have scissors on that same handle. Now, one of the issues that I have with this Leatherman, it's not a big deal, but it's just something to consider for those of you who are picky about these sorts of things, is that in order to access the scissors, you must flip the bottle opener out of the way. So the scissors are not immediately available. I don't know why you might need them with that extra split second, but you do have to fold out the can opener as you see there and then access the scissors. The scissors are very functional. I think they cut perfectly. I think the size is great, and I love being able to use the handle, you know, getting a good grip on the tool folded up and then placing your thumb right here and using the scissors works perfectly. I've just used it for a little bit of some of the nylon threads. They're on my work bag. I use this to trim them off when I wanted to cut off some of the frayed parts, and then I also used it for a little bit of paper and tape, and it works beautifully. So nice little pair of scissors on there, good size, you know, good medium size, at least for a multi-tool or a Swiss Army knife. Not too small and not too big. And then inside, like I mentioned, you have to fold out the handles in order to access the inner tools, and on one side you've got a Phillips screwdriver. My little lanyard ring's getting in the way there, but it does snap very well into place. You can close the whole tool up and use it that way, or you can fold up one half and now you have a little bit more reach, and it acts as, you know, a longer screwdriver handle. And then on the opposite side you've got 1, 2, 3 slotted drivers, or flathead if you prefer. You've got large, you've got a medium, which is actually on the opposite side, and then in the middle, if I can get it out. The middle one's sometimes tough for me to get out. Not too bad. Might beat up your nails a little bit. You've got more of a precise or small flathead or slotted driver. Those all work very well. The edges of these are quite sharp, so if you've never used one of these before, expect to use a little bit of extra caution when opening these. As you go to push them out, that edge can really dig in and even cut your thumb or your other fingers. So just be a little bit careful when you open those out. Not a big deal, and they're all very useful. I do, like I said, this isn't my exact configuration of tools. The can opener's fine. I don't really have a lot of use for it. I probably would have liked to have traded out one of the 3 slotted drivers for an additional Phillips. I would love to have like an eyeglass sized Phillips. Maybe if they took out the medium driver or the small slotted and replaced it with a Phillips, a little precise Phillips would have been really cool. But overall, not too bad on the assortment. So that's all the stuff that's included. We have anodized aluminum handles. They're pretty smooth. There's not a lot of texturing to them, so the tool can be a little bit slippery if your hands are wet or oily. Retaining the tool in your hand while you're trying to use the pliers or something might be an issue. In the weeks that I've had this, it hasn't really been a problem for me, but it's something to keep in mind. I like the color on this one. This is called their Storm Gray, and I think it's really nice. It's quite similar to the Storm Gray that they use on the older Squirt series. But I find it really attractive. It also comes in orange. Those are the only 2 colors currently available, although previously there was a red, a blue, and a green juice. There might have also been a camo pattern that was available somewhere outside the US, but currently all that's available that they're producing right now is the orange and the gray. And I went for this gray just because it matched the Squirt that I already had, and it's kind of a nice subdued thing that I could put like a really colorful lanyard on there to make it kind of stand out. It does have a lanyard ring also, so not really a tool, but maybe a feature or an extra function. It has that little lanyard ring. I added a short little key ring to it and then put my paracord lanyard. This is very comfortable in just about any of my pockets. I tend to carry it in either the coin pocket, which if you wear 5-pocket jeans is the small pocket on your right side, or I'll slip this into my back left pocket opposite my wallet. And it carries comfortably in either one. It's not too bulky. If it sits at the bottom of my pocket when I sit in a seat or if I drive my car, it doesn't really get in the way. So that's really nice. A lot of times some of the bigger, heftier tools can get in the way and become a bit of a nuisance. Let's see. The length on here, you're looking at 3 1/4 inches when it's closed from one end of the handle to the other. And it's 5/8 of an inch thick at the rivets. It's a little bit closer to 1/2 inch thick on the main body of it. Now, one of the things that I noticed on this right away that slightly bothered me, I'm already over it, but it was something that kind of bugged me when I first got it, and I actually thought it was a mistake until I looked it up. It's something that it's probably been mentioned on a review, but I haven't seen a review that mentioned it, so I wanted to bring this up for sure. That is that the handles are of different thicknesses. So if you look there, you can see that this handle here on the right sits higher than the other, and that has to do with the spacers or back springs for the tools. So when you first get it, let's see if I can kind of show you the edge there. You see how the farther back handle is kind of sticking up. When you first get this, you might think that there's something wrong with it. In fact, I did. I thought the handles were twisted or something was wrong, but it's not. This is how they come, and in fact, all of the Juice series, except for the discontinued KF4 model, have these uneven handles. So if you're really a perfectionist, if little minor details like that, cause you to feel some OCD or something to where that's going to bother you, stay away. But it's something that I got over quickly, but I would have liked to have known it before I bought it, just because it was kind of an unpleasant surprise. So uneven handle thicknesses, expect it when you buy just about any of the currently available Juice models. The tools are all really tight and snappy. I don't have any problem with any of them being floppy or loose. I did buy this new, so if you buy one used, it may loosen up over time. You can see that we don't have screws at the pivots. These are all rivets. So you might have to peen these or hammer these over time to tighten them, or you may have to send it back to Leatherman if the tools do become loose over time. But in the time I've had it, everything's been really tight. No slop, no wiggle or wobble in any of the tools, so that's been really nice. The knife is very sharp. So at least from the factory grind was really good, and the knife is very sharp. So that's nice. And like I said, because it's that 420 HC, although the steel is soft, it's going to touch up very quickly. Let me see. I'm trying to think of any other pros and cons that really stand out. I mentioned the comfort. I can give you a couple quick comparisons. Now, currently my favorite, up until I received this, my favorite medium-sized multi-tool has been the Leatherman side clip. This is discontinued. I think it's been a few years since they've made these. If you can find one of these online, used on eBay, or if you see one locally at a pawn shop or something, if the price is right for you, absolutely pick it up. It's excellent. This is all stainless construction. It's a little bit longer than the Juice. You can see it sits a little bit taller. It has something that I really wish that the Juice series has, and that's a pocket clip. I love that this tool has that nice, slim, unobtrusive pocket clip. It sits very deep in your pocket, and it's easy to access. It's a little bit heavier, with the Juice S2 being 4.4 ounces. Man, my cats are really going bonkers. 4.4 ounces on the Juice S2 and 5 ounces on the side clip. And you can see the pliers are fairly similar. They've kind of evolved. They're not the exact same tool, but I think these fill the same role. You can actually see that they're a little bit thicker on the side clip. So I really like this tool, but as far as overall comfort, this one's a little long to sit in your pocket. If it turns perpendicular, as you set it in there, it turns sideways, it can become a little uncomfortable to sit on if it's in your back pocket, and it takes up a lot of space in my front pocket. I basically have to choose if I'm going to put my knife in my pocket or this. I don't really want them side by side. So because of that, the shorter length of the Juice and the smooth handles and the pocket carry comfort has kind of pushed it out ahead. So it's really hard for me to decide which one's my favorite. These both have very similar tool loadout. The assortment of tools is almost identical between the two, and I won't go over this one. I don't think I've reviewed this, but I might at another time. But between the two, the lighter weight, the smoother handles, and the shorter length makes the Juice a little bit better for pocket carry. I only wish it had a pocket clip, and that would give everybody the most amount of options, and I really think that would kind of push it a little bit further ahead in the carry option category. Now, another really popular tool is the Leatherman Wave, and this is, I think, 8.5 ounces, so pretty weighty, very heavy. You can see I've got the pocket clip accessory here. I tried that a couple times. It is just ridiculously chunky and heavy in my pocket, and I just can't do it. So again, you can see a nice size comparison there as far as how tall each one is, and then obviously the thickness on the Wave is a lot thicker. It's a lot bulkier. Now the tools on here are a lot more heavy duty, and again, let's fold out the pliers and I'll show you that the Juice pliers really don't compare to the overall toughness and thickness of the Wave pliers. If you were going to do all day, every day heavy duty tasks, that you were going to require, you know, changing nuts and bolts. I mean, obviously you'd have dedicated drivers, but if not, if you found yourself having to use the pliers often for big tasks, I would 100% go with the wave and maybe use a sheath or just deal with the bulk in your pocket versus the juice. But for medium and light duty tasks, this juice has risen to the top to become one of my favorite multi-tools of all time. I've been carrying it constantly ever since I received it. Super happy with the comfort, really happy with all the tools. Everything performs nicely, the weight's great. It's just hard to beat. I think it's a really good tool. If you can get a good price on one and shop around, because at retail stores and online there seems to be a pretty big divide in the prices. I bought this, it was new, but I bought it on eBay and I spent quite a bit less than you will if you were to buy it new online or in a retail store. But definitely shop around. Even if you did pay full retail, it's a wonderful tool. It'll last you years. So please do check it out. Once again, this is my review of the Leatherman Juice S2, and it comes highly recommended. So thank you very much for joining me in this review, and I hope to bring you many more in the future. Check back soon for some more multi-tool and knife reviews. I've got some new knives coming in the mail. One of them should be here very soon. So if you're a subscriber of mine, you're looking forward to my next review, hang in there for some new stuff very soon. Thanks again. Talk to you soon. Bye.